envisioned this book as a way to introduce people to really what it feels like to be Pakistani more than anything else. So the themes in this book are an effort to present the emotional landscape of Pakistan. It's, I think, a dimension of the country that is lost in the narrative, that is dominated by security issues, especially here in DC, by terror, by violence. There's very little sort of exploration of the intimate life that goes on behind closed doors, and but that forms really the narrative of the country and the city.
I mean, you've said that you had initially thought about doing something that would bring you to the emotional landscape, maybe through fiction. There's a lot of Pakistani fiction writers, and they have been able to do a lot of stories that are about families and about individuals and their struggles. But ultimately, you chose to not only write a more literary piece, but also something that's deeply personal, where you take your own family story and put it on the page. That's all the women in your family, from your grandmother to your mother to your aunt and to yourself. So that decision too, was that a difficult one, to put something like a private life in Pakistan, which is very private, in the public in the way that you have?
Yes, it is difficult, and it continues to be a struggle. And I think that the way I looked at it was that I had to be true to my commitment as a writer, in that I wanted to present as honest as possible a story that was true to my heart and that captured the experiences of people I love. But sometimes that comes up against the expectations people have of you, as well as the relationships you have with people. So it's a balancing act. But I guess my strongest motivating factor was that I strongly believe that a lot of suffering results from silence, and that because some of these private boundaries are not traversed, there are a lot of women who might, on some dimension, go through similar situations that feel alienated or alone, or that feel that their struggle is a singular one. And to have the story told, hopefully, is a way for other women to share their stories and to realize that there are sort of universal strands of human emotion that unite us, whether we're Pakistani or American. I mean, the central theme of the book is being in love with someone who doesn't really love you the same way you love him. And that's something I think that everybody goes through, or has gone through, or will go through at some point.
Can you talk a little bit about the central character in the book, which is your aunt, Aunt Amina, who is also the title of the book, The Upstairs Wife?
Yep.
What you mean by that, and what had happened to her? If you can tell us a little bit about her, and then if you want to read a little bit about your observation of what happened to her.
Well, the central character is my aunt, and obviously the story revolves around her husband taking a second wife, and her first coming home to what was her father's house, to our house, and what that was like to kind of, as a child, get snips of what was going on, but not really knowing what the matter was, or why everyone was so upset, or why she was so upset. So that's the central character, and I think through that I try to explore this whole idea of public and private, and how people, how there is a connection between the violence outside in Pakistan and the violence in intimate relationships, and how they can also tear you apart. So the portion that I'm reading right now is sort of the view from the outside, in this neighborhood where everyone knows everyone else, and they know that this man, my uncle, has taken a second wife, and he
has divided his home into multiple levels, where your aunt lives on one level and his new wife lives on the second.
Absolutely.